All right, another major quarterback injury in the NFL. And this time it's Cleveland Browns starting man, Deshaun Watson, undergoing shoulder surgery on his right throwing shoulder. Apparently played the entire second half of their upset win against the Baltimore Ravens with a broken shoulder and a bad ankle on top of it. And this was by far Watson's best half of football in a Cleveland Browns uniform. But you gotta feel bad for the Browns. Of course, nobody feels bad for Deshaun Watson, but for Browns fans, this is a team that feels like it was just a quarterback away, potentially a Super Bowl roster, and now the season could be completely lost at this point in time. And it's a franchise that seems to have had zero luck. I feel bad for Browns fans. We know about their troubles. They can't get to a Super Bowl. They lose their franchise for a couple years, and since coming back in 1999, it's been an abject disaster for them. They can't do anything correctly. It's always bad. It's awful. They hedged the future. They traded away a ton of draft capital to get Deshaun Watson, sign him to a $230 million fully guaranteed contract. And honestly, the returns have not been what they were expected. Watson already missing 4 games this season with an injury to that right shoulder. And it's been bad with them. They played Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who has been named the starter for the upcoming game this week. He was awful in his first start, but they started him against Baltimore in week 4. Maybe not the best idea to do that spot start for that kid. PJ Walker then slid in, and he was all right. He was essentially 2-1 as the starter. It's not been good, though. Watson's been pretty much awful, hasn't been anywhere near what he was in Houston, but he's been better than what those backups give him, and this defensive unit is arguably the best in football. They dominate people. Myles Garrett, a defensive player of the year frontrunner, and Watson's been good enough. He's been 5-1 as a starter. And honestly, this second half against the Ravens, he was 14 for 14. They were down 14 points, came back, got the win. By far his best half in a Cleveland Browns uniform. And it was like, if we can get more halves like this, the Browns are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. But all for naught, Watson now done for the season. Like I said, Watson's had his issues. There's not a soul out there who feels bad for him being out for the season, but you really do feel for Browns fans. But where the Browns royally screwed this thing up is their backup quarterback situation. It's pretty bad. PJ Walker's okay, but they literally had the best backup quarterback in the league sitting on their roster. It's now the emergent kind of pass or not star, Josh Dobbs. He's been unbelievable. He was decent in Arizona. The Cardinals trade for him right before the start of the season. Only picks up a win, but it was against the Cowboys. That Cardinals roster really not that good. It's pretty bad, well-coached team. But look, fills in, goes to Minnesota. He's 2-0, 1-0 as a starter technically with a comeback win coming off the bench, being there for 5 days. The Browns had their guy. Imagine Josh Dobbs taking over this Browns team. I would be feeling really good if I was a Browns fan. They're 6-3. They're in the heart of this wild card race. Now, PJ Walker, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, you just don't feel good. And the problem is Cleveland played it way too risky. They couldn't afford to have Watson not be good and there be clamoring for Josh Dobbs. Clearly, Josh Dobbs has showed to people that he's a good backup quarterback. In fact, for large segments, he's probably been better than Deshaun Watson has. You can't have that when you have a $230 million quarterback fully guaranteed, and they got greedy with the roster. They didn't want to put Dorian Thompson-Robinson on the practice squad. They didn't want to have Dobbs be the backup and Robinson go to the practice squad because somebody would have picked him up and they weren't going to carry 3 quarterbacks. So they got greedy with their roster construction, forcing them to trade away Dobbs. And now you're kind of in hell. Like, what is DTR going to show us? Like, maybe he's going to show us something. He was decent in the preseason, was abysmal in his one career start. Again, the Ravens defense, not an ideal defense for him to jump in against. But now Browns fans have to feel lost, have to feel hopeless. Like, how are they going to recover from this? I do not think this team is good enough to overcome piss poor quarterback play. They've needed Watson to get back, and Watson hasn't been good. He's been like quarterback 20 to 15-ish, maybe at his best. And that's been good enough for this team because this defense is so good. Now without him, we're going to have Kevin Stefanski making bonehead coaching decisions, having a rookie quarterback. Maybe they go back to PJ Walker, they're not accurate. They don't complete passes. They keep the defense on the field. And I think the season is just lost for the Browns fans. But Watson, now the fifth starting quarterback we've seen go down with a season-ending injury. We have Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. Daniel Jones tears his ACL. Rodgers with his Achilles. Kirk Cousins with his Achilles. It's been kind of a year from hell for starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I really can't remember a season where that many guys kind of this early in the season. I know we're not early into the season, but it's only heading into week 11. We still have 8 more weeks of football left, and we have 5 of the starting quarterbacks out for the season. It's kind of ridiculous when you think about it, but this is a massive blow to the Browns. I don't know if they're going to be good enough to scrape themselves into the playoffs. Honestly, if they somehow do get into the postseason, the AFC is stacked and it's all bunched up. You got to give Myles Garrett Defensive Player of the Year. You might have to consider him for MVP because he's going to have to carry this squad on the defensive side of the ball to manage any sort of luck or any sort of wins in this league, because the Browns, the AFC North is stacked. It's up against them. I mean, the Bengals are in last place at 5-4. That should tell you all you need to know about the AFC North. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are the Browns seasons done? What's going on with all these quarterbacks? Why are they dropping like flies? Why are they out for the season? It's a lot of stuff going on. Let me know who you think is going to make that AFC wildcard spot. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, click that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not. We got new sports content every single day. If you want to support the channel more, hit that join button, join the channel memberships. We got lots of tiers, get access to exclusive content, early content, emojis, badges, all sorts of fun stuff to use during our live streams. It really helps me out a lot. Lets me keep making this great content for you every single day. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.